Speaking Task 1. You will be asked a question about a familiar topic. You will then have 15 seconds to prepare your response, and 45 seconds to speak.
Do you prefer to pursue higher education immediately after your graduation or to first gain some work experience? Please provide specific reasons or examples to support your choice.
Prepare your response after the beep. Start speaking after the beep.
I believe in the value of gaining some work experience before pursuing higher education. First, work experience can provide valuable insights into one's career goals and ambitions, helping to ensure that the choice of further study aligns with those goals. Additionally, employers often value work experience, viewing it as proof of practical application of skills. The work experience can also provide relevant, real-world examples to draw from an academic coursework, making the higher education experience more enriching and meaningful.
Speaking Task 2. You will read a short paragraph and then listen to a conversation between two people. You will have 50 seconds to read the paragraph. After, you will get a question about what you read and heard. You will have 30 seconds to prepare your response and then 60 seconds to give it. You have 50 seconds to read. Start reading after the beep. Now listen to the conversation between two people.
I think what the Career Services wants to offer to us is quite ridiculous, to be honest.
I actually think that it would be really helpful and that they might really hire us later on.
You think so? For me, this is nothing other than a waste of time. Time for which we would not be paid. I did my fair share of internships in the past. Not one of the companies called me back. Not one of them wanted to bring me on board.
But you still get something to put on your resume.
It's easy to get internship nowadays. I don't think that employers care much about any internship we did. Of course, there are exceptions, but these are internships for the big multinational companies. It is extremely difficult to get into those. The internships we will be getting will be nothing like that.
You think so?
I'm quite confident. I don't think that we will learn anything in these internships. You're basically a glorified personal assistant. They ask you to organize the file cabinet or bring coffee for everybody. They don't want you to bother them when they're doing important stuff.
I'm sure that you would get a chance to do something interesting in these internships. I will apply.
I'm not saying you shouldn't give it a try. I might be wrong. I'm basing my opinion on my personal experience.
Okay, thanks for admitting that. Like I said, I will apply, and I hope I will prove you wrong.
What does the male student think about the internships that the Career Services will get for the students?
Prepare your response after the beep. Start speaking after the beep.
The male student thinks that the internships that the career services will get for the students are a waste of time. He believes that they will not be paid and that companies will not hire them after the internships. He shares his personal experience of not getting called back by any of the companies for internships in the past. He believes that employers do not care about the internships the students have done and that they will not learn anything valuable during the internships. He views the internships as being similar to being a glorified personal assistant where the students would only be asked to do menial tasks like organizing files and getting coffee. Despite the male student's negative opinion, the female student plans to apply for the internships and hopes to prove him wrong.
Speaking Task 3. You will read a short paragraph about an academic topic, then listen to a lecture about it. You will have 50 seconds to read the paragraph. After, you will get a question about what you read and heard. You will have 30 seconds to prepare your response and then 60 seconds to give it. You have 50 seconds to read. Start reading after the beep. Now listen to the lecture.
There are countless versions of the Ballad of Barbara Allen, and although it probably originated in the British Isles, versions are found not only in the British colonies, but also in many other countries, including Italy and several countries in Scandinavia. In fact, there are almost 100 versions in the United States alone. But the version that I'm going to play for you today is the traditional child ballad, number 84, from the reference English and Scottish Popular Ballads. In it, the narrative tells the story of Barbara Allen and the young man who fell in love with her. After Barbara Allen rejects him, he dies of unrequited love. And the day after his funeral, Barbara Allen dies of regret. They are buried beside each other in the churchyard, and a red rose grows from his grave. A briar grows from her grave. That's a thorny bush. And as they twine around each other, the rose and the thorn, they form a lover's knot. So we see that the lovers who were not united in life are together in death. The music is repetitive, like most ballads, and also important to identifying it as a ballad, the second and the fourth lines of each four-line stanza rhyme.
Define a ballad, and then explain why Barbara Allen can be classified as a ballad.
Prepare your response after the beep. Start speaking after the beep.
A ballad is a story in poem form that is sung to music and can have many different versions as it is passed down through generations. Barbara Allen can be classified as a ballad because it tells a story about love, rejection, and death, and is sung to music. The song follows a traditional ballad structure with repeating lines and rhyming stanzas. Additionally, Barbara Allen has many different versions, with variations of the story found in different countries. This shows that the song has been passed down through an oral tradition, with changes and additions made by different singers over time. In conclusion, Barbara Allen fits the definition of a ballad because it is a story told in song that has evolved over time through oral tradition.
You will listen to a lecture about an academic topic. After, you will get a question about what you heard. You will have 20 seconds to prepare your response and then 60 seconds to give it. Now listen to the lecture.
When people are in difficult situations, sometimes they experience feelings of helplessness or psychological pain. So what do? They unconsciously use strategies called defense mechanisms to protect themselves psychologically from their painful emotions. Let's say a woman has a pet dog. She's had this dog for a long time, and he's kept her company and guarded her for years, but one day he runs away. This woman looks everywhere and asks other people if they've seen her dog, but she just can't find him. Now, she feels helpless and sad because she misses her dog, so she'll unconsciously find ways to deal with her painful feelings. One defense mechanism she might use is fantasy. With fantasy, the woman uses her imagination. So, instead of just feeling helpless and sad about her lost dog, she invents a happy story in her mind. She might imagine that a nice family found him and feeds him, and that he's really happy with them. She'll picture the dog playing, running around, having fun. Because of this fantasy, she doesn't have to feel sad about her dog running away. It's a fantasy. It's not real, but it keeps her pain away. Another defense mechanism she might use is what we call sublimation. Sublimation is different from fantasy because sublimation isn't about pretending. It's about turning negative emotions into something useful, practical. So, the woman might start a dog training school. That way, by training dogs, perhaps she can help prevent other people's dogs from running away like hers did. In other words, with sublimation as a defense mechanism, the woman redirects her negative feelings about losing her dog into a positive, constructive activity.
Giving points and examples from the talk, describe the two defense mechanisms mentioned by the professor.
Prepare your response after the beep. Start speaking after the beep.
The professor discussed two defense mechanisms people use to deal with difficult situations: fantasy and sublimation. Fantasy is when someone uses their imagination to create a happy story in their mind to avoid feeling sad or helpless. For example, the woman in the lecture imagined that her lost dog was happy with a new family, playing and having fun. On the other hand, sublimation is about turning negative emotions into something useful or practical. In the lecture, the woman started a dog training school to prevent other dogs from running away, using her sadness about losing her pet in a positive way. Overall, both fantasy and sublimation are ways people unconsciously protect themselves psychologically from painful emotions by either imagining a different reality or channeling their negative feelings into constructive activities.